K1 had spent the last 10 years working on Station Meridian, and she knew every corner of the science wing. The labs were clean and bright, with white walls that seemed to go on forever. Her desk was near the big window that looked out at the stars. She could see 3 different planets from where she sat, and a space station that belonged to the Valorian race. The Valorians were the strongest beings in the galaxy. Everyone knew this. Their skin was thick and blue, and their bodies could handle almost any poison that the universe could throw at them. Today was like any other day. K1 was preparing her reports when Magistrate Thelvor walked into the observation chamber. Thelvor was tall and strange-looking. His skin was clear like glass, and you could see the colors moving inside his body. He was the head of the Galactic Council's biology division, which meant he decided what was strong and what was weak in the galaxy. "Dr. K1," Thelvor said, his voice sounding like rocks grinding together. "I have come to see the new poison resistance rankings." K1 turned to the holographic screen on her wall. The light from it made her face glow. On the screen, hundreds of species were listed with numbers next to their names. The Valorians were at the top with a score of 9.8. The Krone were second at 9.5. The humans were much lower at 3.2. "As you can see," Thelvor continued, looking at the screen, "your species remains in the lower section. This is not surprising. Humans are biological machines that break easily. Your skin is thin, your organs are soft. Poisons that we barely notice will destroy your body in seconds." K1 felt anger rise in her chest, but she kept her face calm. She had heard this many times before. Ever since humans joined the Galactic Council 50 years ago, they had been treated like children. Weak children that needed help and protection. The Council let humans do research and build things, but everyone knew the truth. Humans did not belong among the great species of the galaxy. "Magistrate," K1 said slowly, "the human species has much more to offer than we have shown so far." Thelvor made a sound like a laugh. It sounded like wind blowing through a broken window. "Your people are useful. I do not deny this. You solve problems that other species cannot. You create things, you build, but strength is not measured in what you make. Strength is measured in what you can survive, and humans cannot survive the things that make us strong." After Thelvor left, K1 sat alone in her lab for a long time. She thought about what he had said. She thought about human history. 3 days later, she called her best friend and colleague, Jiho, to meet her in the private section of the library. Jiho arrived with 2 cups of coffee. He was shorter than K1, with kind eyes and dark hair. He had been her friend since they were both students on Earth. They had come to the space station together, hoping to show the galaxy that humans were smart and capable. "I want to show you something," K1 said. She pulled up files on the research computer. "Look at Earth's history." For hours, they looked at files about human food, human drink, and human habits. They saw pictures of spicy peppers from India. They read about coffee from Ethiopia. They studied information about alcohol from every country in the world. They learned about fermented foods that humans ate and enjoyed. "Do you see what I see?" K1 asked. Jiho was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "K1, these things are poisons. Capsaicin in peppers, caffeine in coffee, alcohol. All of these are toxins. They damage the human body." "Exactly," K1 said, "but humans eat them anyway. For thousands of years, we have eaten them. We have developed them. We have made them more and more powerful. And we did it not because we had to. We did it because we wanted to. We did it for pleasure." Jiho's eyes went very wide. "That is impossible." "It is not impossible," K1 said. "It is what we did. Every human culture on Earth, from the beginning of time, found ways to poison themselves on purpose, and then their bodies adapted. They became able to handle more and more poison, and the next generation could handle even more." This changes everything, Jiho whispered. Yes, K1 said. It does. We are not weak because we cannot survive poison. We are actually stronger because we can choose to survive poison. We can learn it. We can teach our bodies to handle it. We train ourselves the way an athlete trains their muscles. The Valorians are born strong, but we become strong. K1 spent the next 2 weeks planning her experiment. She knew it was dangerous. She knew the Galactic Council would be angry if she did this without permission. But she also knew that if she asked for permission, they would say no. They would say that humans were too weak. They would say that it was not safe, so she did not ask for permission. Instead, she requested access to the most dangerous laboratory on the station. She told the guards that she was doing routine testing. She was not exactly lying. She was doing testing. It was just not routine. The laboratory was cold and empty. The walls were made of thick metal that could survive explosions. There were special machines that could hold any kind of material safely. In one small container, kept behind 3 layers of protection, was xylithine. Xylithine came from the obsidian swamps of the planet Corvix. It was the most powerful neurotoxin known to any species. A tiny amount could make a grown Valorian feel sick. A slightly larger amount could paralyze a Valorian for hours. Even the scientists who studied it wore special suits and used special tools. Human bodies were supposed to die instantly if they came into contact with it. But K1 did not think she would die. She prepared a tiny sample. It was so small that you could not even see it without a special machine. Just 1 molecule, really. The smallest possible amount. She put on the special protective suit. She walked to the container. Her hands were shaking. Then she opened the container and placed that single tiny amount of xylithine on her tongue. For 1 second, nothing happened. The world was quiet and still and normal. Then the pain came. It was like lightning moving through her brain. Her vision turned red and then black. Her teeth clenched so hard she thought they would break. Every nerve in her body screamed. She fell to the ground. She could not breathe. She could not move. She could only feel the burning, burning, burning inside her skull. And then, very slowly, the pain began to fade. Her body was fighting back. Her immune system was learning. Her neurons were adapting. The burning changed from unbearable to merely terrible. And then it was just very bad. And then it was bad, but manageable. When it finally stopped, K1 lay on the cold floor of the laboratory, gasping and sweating. But she was alive. More than alive. She felt powerful. The machines recorded everything. Her heart rate had gone crazy. Her neural activity had gone wild. But every system in her body had fought back and won. And the most interesting part was the dopamine in her brain. When the poison hit, her body released a flood of happy chemicals. It was reward. It was pleasure. Her brain was actually happy about surviving the poison. K1 lay there in the darkness, breathing slowly, knowing that she had just discovered something that would change everything about how the galaxy understood strength. The next morning, K1 woke up in her quarters and immediately began taking notes. Her whole body felt strange. Not bad, but different. Her muscles were sore like she had run a very long race. Her head felt heavy, but her mind was clear. In fact, she felt more awake than she had in years. She looked at the data from the machines in the laboratory. Everything was exactly as she remembered. The xylithine had entered her body. Her system had been flooded with poison, and she had survived. She did not go to work that day. Instead, she stayed in her room and drank water. Lots and lots of water. She ate some food. She slept, and she thought about what had happened. The most important thing was that she had not died. The second most important thing was that her body had adapted. Not perfectly, not completely, but it had adapted. The poison that was supposed to destroy her had instead challenged her. And she had accepted that challenge and won. That evening, Jiho came to her quarters. He looked worried. You disappeared, he said. No one could find you. Where have you been? K1 opened the door and let him in. She had decided to tell him everything. If anyone would understand, it would be Jiho. They had been friends too long to keep secrets. I did it, she said simply. Jiho's face went pale. You did what? I tested the theory. I exposed myself to xylithine. Just a tiny amount. And I survived. Jiho looked like he might faint. He sat down on her bed very quickly. K1, that is insane. That is the most insane thing you have ever done, and I have known you for 20 years. I know, K1 said. She showed him all the data from the machines. She explained everything that had happened. She described the pain and the fear and the pleasure that came afterward. Jiho read the data 3 times. Each time he read it, his expression changed a little bit. First, there was fear. Then there was confusion. Then there was wonder. Finally, there was excitement. This is real, he said quietly. This actually happened. This is actually real. Yes, K1 said. We have to tell the council. Not yet, K1 said. We need more data. I need to do this several more times. I need to see if my body can adapt further. I need to understand exactly what is happening. Over the next 3 weeks, K1 repeated her experiment. Each time she used a slightly larger amount of xylithine. Each time the pain was terrible, but each time her body handled it better than the last time. By the 3rd week, she could consume an amount that would have killed a normal human instantly, and she felt only moderate pain for a few minutes. Her body was learning. Jiho helped her create special tools and equipment. He helped her record all the data. He helped her understand what was happening inside her cells and her brain. Together, they discovered something amazing. When a human consumed a poison, the body did not just survive it. The body learned from it. The immune system created new defenses. The nervous system rewired itself to handle the threat better. And most importantly, the brain released chemicals that made the whole experience feel good. This was different from other species. The Valorians could survive poison because they were born with thick skin and strong organs. The Krone could survive poison because they evolved to do so. But humans could survive poison because they could choose to survive it. They could practice. They could improve. They could get better over time. One day, K1 and Jiho were reviewing the data together when someone knocked on the laboratory door. K1's heart jumped. She was worried that someone had discovered what they were doing. But it was only Min-Su, another human scientist who worked at the station. Min-Su was a chef before she became a scientist. She had studied food and cooking for her whole life. I think I know why you have been disappearing, Min-Su said. She was a small woman with short hair and very smart eyes. I think I know what you are doing, and I think I want to help. K1 was surprised. How did you know? Because I am from Earth too, Min-Su said, and I have been reading the same history that you have. I know that humans eat poison for pleasure. I have been thinking about it too. I wanted to see if anyone else had noticed. So they told Min-Su everything, and Min-Su told them something they did not know. She told them that humans had spent thousands of years developing the art of eating poison. She explained how different cultures had created different poisons that they consumed for flavor and excitement. She described how humans had actually made these poisons stronger and more intense on purpose, generation after generation. Spicy food is a perfect example, Min-Su explained. She showed them pictures and data from Earth. Peppers from South America contained capsaicin, which burns the mouth and throat. It was poison. But humans ate more and more of it. They mixed it into all their food. They developed more and more spicy varieties. They trained their bodies to handle higher and higher levels of heat and pain. But why? Jiho asked. Why would anyone do this on purpose? Because it felt good, Min-Su said. Because the human brain enjoyed the challenge. Because we like to push ourselves to our limits. K1 felt a chill go through her body. This was bigger than just one experiment. This was part of something that was in human nature. All humans had this ability. All humans had this willingness to suffer and adapt. "We need to test this with more people," K1 said. "We need to see if other humans can do what I did." "That will be dangerous," Jiho warned. "What if something goes wrong? What if we hurt someone?" "People on Earth used to do this for pleasure," Minsu said. "They drank alcohol. They smoked. They ate spicy food. This is not new to humans. We are just understanding it for the first time in this situation." "But we need to be careful," K1 said. "We need volunteers who understand the risks. We need equipment and safety measures. We need to do this properly." "The Council will never give us permission," Jiho said. "Then we will not ask for permission," K1 said. "At least, not yet. First, we will gather the data. First, we will prove that it works. Then, we will show them the truth." The three of them stayed in the laboratory until late at night, planning their next steps. They decided to contact other humans on the station. They decided to look for people who were brave and curious and willing to take risks. They decided to start a project that would change everything about how the galaxy understood what it meant to be strong. K1 felt nervous and excited. She knew that what they were about to do could get them in serious trouble, but she also knew that they were on the edge of discovering something incredible, something that would prove to the entire galaxy that humans were not weak, that humans were different, that humans had a gift that no other species had, the gift of choosing to become strong. K1 sent out very careful messages to other human workers on Station Meridian. She did not say much. She just asked if anyone was interested in a special research project. She said it would be dangerous. She said it would be intense. She said it would test the limits of human biology. She did not explain what it was. To her surprise, 7 people agreed to meet her. They met in a small room that was not part of the official laboratory area. K1 sat at a table with these volunteers and looked at each of them carefully. There was Yunji, a pharmacist who studied how medicines and poisons worked in different bodies. There was Tai-O, a mountain climber who had trained his body to survive in extreme environments his whole life. There was Hai-Rin, a meditation teacher who taught other aliens how to control their minds and bodies. There was Dong-Su, an engineer who built machines. There was Ye-Jun, a medical doctor. There was Na-Ri, a security officer. There was Sung-Mo, a chef like Minsu, but from a different part of Earth. K1 explained the project to them. She told them about the xylothene. She told them about her experiment. She showed them the data. She did not hide anything from them. She wanted them to understand exactly what they would be doing and exactly what the dangers were. "You are asking us to poison ourselves," Dong-Su said. He sounded confused. "On purpose?" "Yes," K1 said. "And you believe that our bodies will adapt," Ye-Jun said, "and become stronger." "I know they will," K1 said, "because my body already has." The room was very quiet. No one spoke for a long time. "I will do it," Teo said suddenly. "I have been training my body my whole life. I have climbed mountains where the air is so thin that it should kill a human. I have survived in cold that should freeze me solid. I have pushed my body beyond what anyone thought was possible. I will do this." "I want to do it too," Hai-Rin said. "I spend all day teaching other species how to control their bodies and minds. I understand what you are trying to do. I understand that the mind and body are connected. I believe in this." One by one, the others agreed. Even Dong-Su, the engineer who was most afraid, said he would help. He said that he wanted to understand if it was real. The experiments began the next week. Each volunteer was given a very small amount of poison. K1 used different poisons with each person depending on their size and health. Tai-O and Dong-Su got xylothene because they were larger men. Hai-Rin and Na-Ri got a weaker toxin because they were smaller. Yunji and Ye-Jun got a poison that was in the middle because they understood medicine and could monitor their own bodies. The results were incredible. All of them survived. All of them had the same experience that K1 had. There was terrible pain at first, then adaptation, then a rush of good-feeling chemicals in the brain. All of them felt more alive when it was over. But more than that, when they repeated the experiment a week later with slightly larger amounts, their bodies handled it even better than before. The pain was less intense. The adaptation was faster. They could function and think even while the poison was still in their systems. It was proof. It was actual proof that what K1 had discovered was real. Humans could learn to survive poison through practice. Humans could train their bodies and minds to handle toxins that should destroy them. Humans were capable of adaptation that other species could not match. Ye Jun, the doctor, was especially excited. She spent hours studying the data and taking samples from everyone. "Look at this," she said one day, showing K1 some information on a computer screen. "The human immune system is like a learning machine. When it encounters poison, it does not just fight it. It remembers it. It creates new defenses. It gets stronger. Each time the poison comes back, the immune system is ready. It is like your body is training itself." "Like an athlete," Teo said. He was sitting nearby, drinking water and recovering from his latest dose of xylithine. "When I climb mountains, my body gets better at climbing. When I train, my muscles get stronger. This is the same thing. We are training our bodies to handle poison, the way an athlete trains to handle physical effort." "But there is something more," Hayren said. She had been very quiet, mostly watching and thinking. "It is not just physical. It is mental. My mind is learning too. I am learning to control my fear. I am learning to push through pain. I am learning to become stronger than I was before." K1 nodded. She had been thinking about this too. The poison was not just a physical challenge. It was a mental challenge. It required courage. It required the willingness to suffer. It required the belief that you could survive something that should destroy you. And humans had these things in abundance. As the weeks passed, the volunteers became stronger and stronger. They could handle poisons that would make Valorians feel ill. They could consume toxins that would paralyze a Kron for days, and they did it over and over again, getting better each time. The other aliens on the station started to notice. They saw the humans walking around looking healthy and happy after consuming poisons that should have killed them. They saw the humans coming back for more, pushing themselves harder, testing their limits. Some aliens thought they were crazy, but others were curious. "Why are you doing this?" Nari, the security officer, asked one day. "Because we are strong," Sungmo said. He was a chef, and he was thinking about human food and poison. "Not the way the Valorians are strong. Not the way the Kron are strong, but strong in a different way. Humans are strong because we can become strong. We can choose to improve. We can choose to be better than we were yesterday." But not everyone was happy about what they were doing. One day, a message came from the council. Magistrate Thelvor wanted to see K1 immediately. She knew that they had been discovered. The observation chamber was cold when K1 entered. Thelvor was there, along with 3 other council members. They looked angry. "You have been conducting unauthorized experiments," Thelvor said. His voice sounded like an avalanche. "Yes," K1 said. She did not see any reason to lie. "You have exposed humans to dangerous toxins." "Yes." "You did this without permission from the council." "That is correct." Thelvor leaned forward. "You understand that this is illegal? You understand that you could be removed from this station? You understand that your species could lose its position on the council?" K1's heart was racing, but her voice was calm. "I understand. But I also understand that I have discovered something important, something that changes everything about what it means to be strong. I have data. I have proof. I have volunteers who have lived through it. I believe the council should see this before they punish me." Thelvor was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Show us." K1 had 2 hours to prepare. 2 hours to set up everything in the big presentation laboratory. This laboratory was used for important demonstrations and tests. It had machines that could measure everything about a living body. It had screens that could show data to everyone at once. It had safety systems to protect against anything that might go wrong. She worked quickly with Ji-ho and Min-soo. They prepared all the data from the past weeks. They made graphs and charts that showed what had happened. They wrote explanations that were simple and easy to understand. They prepared small amounts of the poisons that they had been using, and they contacted the volunteers. All 8 of them came. K1, Tae-oh, Hairin, Yoonji, Yejun, Nari, Sungmo, and Dong-soo. They understood that this was important. They understood that this was their chance to show the galaxy what humans could do. When Magistrate Thelvor arrived with the other council members, the laboratory was ready. There were 10 other beings there, too. Scientists and leaders from other species. A Valorian named Kreltalk, a Kron named Zextho, beings from 5 other species that K1 did not recognize. "We will begin with the data," K1 said. She felt nervous, but her voice was steady. She explained everything that had happened. She showed the graphs that proved the poison resistance was getting higher each week. She showed the medical data that proved the volunteers were healthy and getting healthier. She explained how human bodies adapted to poison through practice, the same way they adapted to climbing mountains or running long distances. The council members watched and listened. Some of them looked confused. Some of them looked interested. The Valorian named Kreltalk looked angry. "This is impossible," Kreltalk said. His voice was deep and loud. "Poison resistance is genetic. It is fixed from birth. You cannot change it." "You can," Yoonji said. She stepped forward. She was the pharmacist, and she knew more about poisons and medicine than almost anyone. "In species like the Valorian, poison resistance is genetic. You are born with strong bodies. But in humans, we have shown that poison resistance can be learned. It can be trained. It can be improved." "She is correct," Yejun added. She was the doctor. "I have tested the blood of every volunteer. I have measured every change in their bodies. The adaptation is real. The improvement is measurable." "But this is useless," another council member said. This one was a Kron. "What value is there in training your bodies to survive poison? This is not useful. This is not real strength." "It is real strength," Tae-oh said. He stepped forward and stood very tall. "I have spent my life training my body to survive in extreme conditions. I have climbed mountains that should kill a human. I have survived in places where the air is thin and the cold is deadly. I know what real strength is, and this is real strength. This is the strength that comes from choice, from will, from the belief that you can become better." Magistrate Thelvor raised his hand. "Enough talking. Show us." So they did. One by one, each volunteer consumed a carefully measured dose of poison. The machines recorded everything: heart rate, brain activity, neural pathways, immune response, everything. The council members could see it all happening in real time on the big screens. First, it was Tae-oh. He consumed xylothene, the same amount that would have killed an ordinary human in seconds. The council members gasped as the machines showed his body being flooded with poison. His heart rate went crazy. His brain became very active. But then slowly, his body adapted. The numbers stabilized. His breathing became calm. He opened his eyes and smiled. "That was the 4th time for me," Tae-oh said. "The first time I thought I was dying. Now I can control it." Next was Hairin. She closed her eyes and did breathing exercises. She consumed the poison and relaxed her body. The machines showed something interesting. Her mind was very calm, even though the poison was trying to hurt her. She was using her meditation skills to control her fear and her pain. The mind affects the body, Hayrin explained. When I am calm, my body adapts more easily. When I am afraid, the adaptation is harder. Humans have learned to control our minds. This helps us control our bodies. One after another, the volunteers demonstrated their abilities. Yejun showed her medical knowledge by explaining what was happening in her own body as the poison worked. Nari showed incredible strength of will, staying conscious and functional even when the poison was at its strongest. Sungmo, the chef, talked about how humans had been doing this with spicy food for thousands of years. On Earth, Sungmo explained, we have foods that burn your mouth and throat, peppers from many different countries. Humans eat these foods for pleasure. We make them more and more spicy on purpose. We train our bodies to handle them. We have been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. This is not new. This is just a bigger version of something humans have always done. The council members were quiet when it was done. The data was clear. The evidence was strong. There was no way to deny what they had seen. Finally, Kreltok, the Valorian, stood up. I do not like this, he said. This changes things. This means that poison resistance is not fixed. This means that any species could potentially improve themselves through training. This is uncomfortable. It is also true, Magistrate Thelvor said. His voice was thoughtful. The data does not lie. Whatever we feel about this, the evidence is clear. Humans have demonstrated something remarkable. What happens now? K1 asked. Now, Thelvor said, the council must decide what to do with this information. We must decide if we reclassify your species. We must decide if we accept that strength is not fixed, but can be achieved through will and training. This is a big decision. It will not be made today. But K1 could see that something had changed. The way the council members looked at the humans was different now. They were not looking at weak creatures who needed protection. They were looking at beings who could choose to become strong, beings who could look at something that should destroy them and decide to survive it anyway. That night, the 8 volunteers sat together in the common room. They were tired, but happy. They knew that they had done something important. They had shown the galaxy that humans were different. They had shown that humans had a power that other species did not have. Do you think they will believe us now? Nari asked. I think they have to believe us, Yejun said. The data is real. The adaptation is real. We are real. But belief and action are different things, Minsu said. The council might recognize what we have done, but they might not change things. They might not give us a better position. They might not treat humans with more respect. Then we will have to keep proving it, K1 said. Again and again, we will have to show them that this is not a one-time thing, that this is something every human can do, that this is what it means to be human. Teo raised his cup of water. To humans, he said, to the species that chooses to be strong, to the beings that look at poison and say, I will survive this, I will become better. To us, the others said, and they drank together, thinking about what the future might bring. The waiting was hard. K1 tried to continue her normal work, but it was difficult to focus. She found herself checking messages every few minutes to see if there was any news from the council. Every day felt very long. Every day felt like it might be the day they made a decision. 3 weeks passed. During this time, something unexpected happened. Other species began asking K1 questions. The Valorian scientists wanted to understand the data better. The crone asked if their species could also be trained to survive more poison. Even some of the smaller alien species became interested. It seemed that what the humans had demonstrated had planted an idea in the minds of many beings. If humans could learn to adapt, could other species learn too? Was poison resistance really something you were born with? Or was it something that could be developed through training? Yejun was contacted by a Valorian scientist named Trelovic. Trelovic was curious. He wanted to understand how the human adaptation worked. He asked if humans would teach his people how to do the same thing. They are starting to see the value, Jiho said. They understand now that this is not about human weakness or strength. This is about something deeper. This is about the power of choice and training and will. But on the 23rd day, everything changed. K1 received a formal message. The Galactic Council would vote today. The vote would determine whether humans were reclassified in the poison resistance rankings. The vote would determine what happened next for the entire human species. The council chamber was enormous. It was shaped like a circle, with seats for representatives of 100 different species. When K1 entered, she felt very small. She sat in a special area made for humans, along with Jiho and the 7 volunteers. All of them felt nervous. This moment would decide whether their experiment meant anything to the galaxy. Magistrate Thelvor stood up. His voice echoed through the chamber. "We have reviewed the data provided by the human scientists. We have examined the evidence. We have consulted with experts from multiple species. The question before us is this: should we reclassify the human species based on the evidence that they possess the capacity for learned poison resistance?" A debate began. Some council members spoke against reclassification. They said that poison resistance was genetic. They said that humans could be an exception, and this did not change the basic truth about strength. They said that humans should not be elevated based on one experiment, but others spoke in favor. The Valorian named Kreltok spoke. "I was against this at first," he said. "But I have studied the data. I have seen the evidence. The humans have shown something remarkable. They have shown that strength is not fixed. They have shown that training and will can transform a weak being into a strong one. Perhaps all species have this capacity. Perhaps we have been wrong about what strength means." The Kron representative, Zextho, also spoke in favor. "My species believed that we understood poison resistance. We believed it was genetic and could not be changed. But the humans have challenged this. They have shown that adaptation is possible. This is not weakness. This is power. This is the power to become strong through choice." Yejun was asked to speak. She described all the medical changes that she had observed. She talked about how quickly humans could adapt. She talked about how humans were not just surviving poison, but actually getting stronger and healthier from the experience. Heirin was asked to speak about the mental aspect. She talked about how human minds had the capacity to overcome fear and pain. She talked about meditation and will and the belief that humans could become strong. She talked about how this was different from other species, but not weaker. It was just different. It was uniquely human. Finally, Magistrate Thelvor stood up again. "The council will vote," he said. The voting took place. Each representative pressed a button that showed their choice. The votes appeared on the big screen. For and against. For and against. When all the votes were counted, the result was clear. 83 species voted for reclassification. 17 voted against. The humans had won. Magistrate Thelvor's voice filled the chamber. "By the vote of the Galactic Council, the human species is hereby reclassified. Humans are recognized as possessing high capacity for learned poison resistance through deliberate training and adaptation. Humans are moved from ranking 3.2 to ranking 6.8, placing them in the upper percentile of poison-resistant species." But that was not all. There was more. "Furthermore," Thelvor continued, "the Council recognizes a new category of strength. No longer will beings be classified solely by their genetic capacity. Beings will now be recognized for their capacity for learned adaptation. The human method of training through deliberate exposure and adaptation is recognized as a valid and effective approach to developing strength." K-Wan felt tears in her eyes. Around her, the volunteers were also emotional. They had done it. They had changed the way the galaxy understood strength. But Magistrate Thelvor was not finished. The Council proposes the creation of a new research institute. The purpose of this institute will be to study adaptive training methods across multiple species. The humans will lead this institute. Other species may participate if they wish. After the vote, many species approached the humans. There were congratulations and questions and requests for help. The Valorians wanted to understand how to teach their young to become even stronger through training. The Kron wanted to see if they had been missing this capacity all along. Scientists from a dozen different species asked if they could study at the new research institute. Teo looked at K-Wan and smiled. "We have started something much bigger than any of us realized," he said. "Yes," K-Wan agreed. "But it was always there inside humans. We were always willing to suffer for strength. We were always willing to train ourselves. We were always willing to push past our limits. We just showed the galaxy what we already knew." That night, there was a celebration. Humans, Valorians, Kron, and many other species gathered to talk and think about what this meant. The old hierarchy was not completely gone, but it was changing. The idea that strength was fixed was gone. The idea that beings could choose to become strong was now accepted. Sungmo was cooking traditional human food. There was spicy food from Earth. There was coffee. There was food that humans had been eating for thousands of years. Food that contained poisons that humans had learned to enjoy and survive. "You see?" Sungmo said as he prepared the food. "For thousands of years, humans have been doing this. We have been teaching our bodies to survive poison. We have been making ourselves stronger through our choices. The galaxy is just now catching up to what humans have always known." K-Wan sat with Jiho and Min-Su, watching the celebration. "What comes next?" Jiho asked. "Now we teach," K-Wan said. "Now we help others understand their own capacity for adaptation. Now we help other species become what they are capable of becoming. And maybe, just maybe, we help the galaxy understand that strength is not something you are born with. Strength is something you become. Strength is something you choose." The future was different now. It was uncertain. But it was full of possibility. And for humans, for a species that had always been willing to suffer and improve, possibility was everything.